Vanessa has a new man. To save him, she took a bullet. If the shot had been half an inch to the left, she wouldn't have made it. When she woke up, the first thing she asked for was a divorce. She said, "In that moment when I thought I was going to die, my only regret was that I hadn't married Julian. I used to refuse to sign the papers. This time I signed." She didn't look happy, though. She frowned and grabbed my hand. "We were married for a while. If you have any demands, name them. I'll agree to anything." I pulled my hand away and looked at her calmly. "Then agree to this. Once we have the divorce decree, we never see each other again." It was such a simple request. But she broke her promise. Our weddings were held at the same venue. She watched me, in my tuxedo, walking toward another woman. She abandoned the man she'd risked her life to marry and begged me not to go through with it. When I got the news that Vanessa had been shot, I rushed to the hospital. I saw Julian sitting by her bedside, looking tortured. He was holding her hand. "Vanessa, please don't die. I promise I'll be with you. Just don't die." When he saw me walk into the ward, he looked at me with tear-filled, defiant eyes. "Vanessa got hurt because of me. Mr. Stone, I don't want to wreck your marriage, but she doesn't love you anymore. Why won't you just let her go?" I took a deep breath and said, "Please get out." He reluctantly let go of her hand and walked out. "I'll be waiting outside. The moment Vanessa wakes up, I'm the one she'll want to see." I looked at the woman lying on the bed, her face pale and bloodless. My heart went cold inch by inch. She loved him that much. She didn't even care about her own life for him. This gunshot wound was for him. Julian had gotten into a spat with Vanessa and ended up provoking Scarlett Lynch, a woman with deep connections in both the business world and the underground. He was arrogant. He said he refused to be the other man. He told Vanessa that if she didn't divorce me, he'd just find some random woman to be with. He was the one who approached Scarlett. He said he wanted to be her boyfriend, accompanied her to a hotel, and then got cold feet and backed out. In return, someone smashed a hole in his head. Scarlett said she wouldn't let him off. She sent people to kill him. They cornered him on a winding canyon road, intending to end him. Vanessa arrived with her bodyguards and took a bullet for him. She said that settled the debt. Scarlett felt she'd made her point, so she gave Vanessa face and let it go. Vanessa woke up. The first name she called out was Julian. He was right. I looked at my reflection in the glass door, dark circles under my eyes, exhaustion from a sleepless night washing over me. "He's outside. You can have someone call him in." Vanessa leaned back against the headboard, looking at me coldly. "Jared, let's get a divorce." When I thought I was dying, my only regret in this life was not marrying Julian. Our marriage was just a business merger anyway. There's no love. Why do you keep clinging to me? We were a business merger. But it wasn't without feelings. We grew up together. Originally, the person I was supposed to merge with wasn't her. She was the one who came to me. She said she needed a partner for an alliance, that we knew each other inside out, and that marrying her was better than marrying a stranger. I liked her. I agreed without a second thought. A year ago, she suddenly brought up divorce. She said she felt nothing for me. I didn't agree. I couldn't understand it. I refused to sign the papers. Why had it suddenly come to this? Just a while ago, we were planning to have a child. After that, she rarely came home. She froze me out. I spent countless nights doubting myself. I even had to rely on sleeping pills to get any rest. It turned out she had been hiding Julian in her estate in the Hamptons, keeping her staff's mouths shut tight. She was afraid I'd make trouble for him. If it weren't for this incident, I wouldn't have known she wanted to divorce me for him. She was willing to die for him. She really loved him that much. I knew it then. This marriage had truly reached its end. "Fine. Have your lawyers draft the agreement. I'll sign." She didn't look relieved. Instead, she looked at me with suspicion. "You're agreeing just like that? You won't go back on your word?" She probably thought this was a divorce that would drag on for a year. "I won't." Julian walked in then. He hugged her tightly. I was scared to death. "Vanessa, thank God you're okay." She patted his head. "As long as you're safe. From now on, you can be by my side openly." Seeing this, There was no reason for me to stay. I didn't spare them another glance and walked out of the room. Outside the hospital, I felt like all my strength had been drained away. I slid down against the wall to the ground, my eyes burning. Vanessa was the woman who had occupied my entire youth, from age 10 to 25. How could it not hurt? I went back to the villa and started packing. This house held too much of my effort and too many memories of our marriage. I didn't want to keep it. As I walked out of the villa with my luggage, a car pulled up in front of me. It was Scarlett Lynch. She reached out to take my suitcase. I dodged her. Now you see her clearly. You're willing to leave her. I looked at her with resentment. You did this on purpose. She smiled playfully. Of course, trash like him isn't worth my time. But since he ruined your happiness, I figured I could ruin him. I looked at the gauze still wrapped around her head. I don't need you to do things like this. She took my hand, her eyes full of laughter. You're worried about me. If I wasn't afraid you'd blame me, I would have sent both of them to hell together. 6 months ago, I accidentally saved a heavily injured Scarlett on a rainy night. After she recovered, she confessed her feelings to me more than once. I told her I was married. She looked at me with a disdainful smile. A wife who makes you live like a widower isn't worth keeping. I told her I wouldn't divorce and asked if she knew something. She sneered. Since you won't divorce, I'll send her back to you. In just a few short days, she orchestrated this whole mess. She let me know Vanessa was keeping a man on the side, and she put a bullet in her. Scarlett, don't cause any more trouble. The Vaughn family isn't a soft target. That day, I just wanted Vanessa to see his true colors. I didn't plan on doing anything drastic. Who knew he'd go crazy and crack my head open? Then Vanessa barged in with her people and took him away. It doesn't matter anymore. The moment I agreed to the divorce, none of it mattered. I couldn't let go of her instantly, but sooner or later I would. She pinned me against the car, took out a ring, and placed it in front of me. She asked me extremely seriously, "Since you're getting a divorce anyway, are you willing to marry me?" This time I said yes. If not Scarlett, it would be someone else. The Stone family doesn't allow a divorced man to sit idle at home. I can fulfill the responsibilities of a husband, but it might take a long time or maybe forever before I can love you. Do you accept that? Scarlett hugged me joyfully. When she tried to kiss me, I turned my head away. She touched her nose awkwardly and smiled apologetically. This woman, who was usually decisive and ruthless with everyone else, said to me carefully, I was too rushed. The division of assets was complicated. Our families were merged, and the interests were intertwined, so it took a long time to process. This led to Julian looking at me with hostility every time we met in the conference room. Why are you dragging this out? Vanessa made it clear enough to you. I saw the look in his eyes. He thought I was playing games to avoid the divorce. My tone darkened. You're the homewrecker. What right do you have to question me? If you really can't wait, just have Vanessa sign over all our joint assets to me for the last few years. The lawyers could draft that agreement instantly. I had given my love all these years. There was no reason I should lose money too. He shut up immediately, biting his lip and looking at me with aggrieved eyes. When Vanessa walked in and saw his red-rimmed eyes, she shot me a displeased look. What's wrong? I just want you and Mr. Stone to be done with this quickly. He called me a homewrecker, but I didn't want this. I thought about giving up. I just love you too much. She touched his cheek, stroking it comfortingly, then looked at me sharply. Don't bully him. He was never the one at fault. I was the one who wouldn't let go. This protective display was truly touching. I clenched my fists, lowered my eyes so she wouldn't see that I could still feel sadness, and curled my lips in mockery. Knowing you're the other man and still acting the part, and you say he's not at fault. Vanessa looked terrible after my retort. She asked the lawyer what was left to settle and ordered everything to be transferred to my side as compensation. In the end, the marital home went entirely to me. I got an extra 10% of the assets, and she bought back my shares in the Vaughn Corporation at 10% above market value. She was certainly generous. But then, she was willing to die for Julian. These worldly possessions meant nothing to her. When we signed the papers, she held my hand down. We've known each other for so many years. If you ever need anything in the future, find me. Consider it a debt I owe you." I pushed her hand away and replied coldly, "No need. I only have one request. Don't appear in front of me ever again." She looked at me, surprise flashing in her eyes, followed by a hint of sadness deep within, as if she couldn't believe I could be so absolute. But soon, she returned to her calm, composed self. That flash of sadness seemed like an illusion. She twitched the corner of her mouth and replied casually, "Of course, I have no problem with that. I was never the one clinging on. I hope you keep your word." Vanessa had always been the one I chased. Before the marriage and during it. She truly disdained entangling herself with me. That sentence really did sound like a bad joke coming from me. No wonder she was so confident. So much for never seeing each other again. A month later, I ran into them at an auction house. The moment Vanessa saw me, she seemed to let out a breath. A smile played on her lips, and her eyes held a smug look as she raised an eyebrow. "If I recall correctly, I received the invitation to this auction last month. You're the one breaking your word." The implication was that I knew she would be here and came anyway, that I wasn't here by accident. But for her, I forgot. "Next time we meet, don't say hello." I didn't want to talk to her, so I went inside first. I really had forgotten. For the past year, she never took me to public events, so I had gradually lost interest in tracking her schedule. I came to buy a gift. That was all. As we passed each other, the air around Vanessa seemed to drop a few degrees. As soon as I entered, whispers broke out around me. Everyone was saying there was going to be a show, freshly divorced, the ex-husband bumping into the ex-wife and her new lover at an auction. I sat in a corner, ignoring the gossip. Some items I liked at the start were snatched up by Julian. His provocative gaze kept landing on me. Vanessa just watched him mess around with a doting look, until a pair of rings by a famous designer came up for bid. The craftsmanship and design were exquisite. "Vanessa, I'll win these for you. Let's use them as our wedding bands, okay?" Julian emphasized the word wedding heavily, afraid I wouldn't hear it. Vanessa's gaze fell on me, and she said okay with extreme indulgence. The auctioneer spoke. "These rings are hand-carved blue diamonds by Ali," titled the pact. "Starting bid, 1 million. I raised my paddle immediately. Julian followed right behind. 2 million. We went back and forth a few times. I gradually lost patience. I didn't want to waste time, so I raised my hand and signaled an unlimited bid. The sky lantern. Mr. Stone has lit the sky lantern. This item goes to Mr. Stone." Julian looked at Vanessa with a wronged expression. "Mr. Stone is trying to make our relationship difficult. I really liked those rings and he just put in a max bid. That's so excessive." Vanessa looked at me. There was no annoyance at losing the item, only a smug satisfaction. "It's just a public auction item. If you like his work, I'll get Ali to custom make a pair for us." "Don't be mad, Julian." Sweet words came easily to her. When Vanessa wanted to charm someone, she could truly make them dizzy with love. I used to be the one falling for that gentle, affectionate look. Now, seeing her be so tender with another man, a feeling of discomfort shot up like a small flame. It wasn't anger, just nausea. Julian kissed her cheek and said he loved her the most. Vanessa froze for a second, glancing at me almost imperceptibly. I stood up immediately. I had what I came for, there was no need to stay. After paying for the item, I was blocked by Vanessa. She pinned me against the wall in a corner, questioning me. "Jared Stone, who was it that said we should never meet again? Even if you forgot, what is the meaning of buying these rings?" She trapped me, preventing me from moving. Her eyes looking up at me held a faint mockery. "I'm using them myself." She acted as if she'd heard a massive joke. The laughter in her throat couldn't be suppressed and spilled out. "Are you saying you're getting married?" My yes hadn't even left my mouth before she continued on her own. "Don't say such ridiculous things. You've loved me for 9 years. How could anyone else catch your eye? Is it necessary to tell such unbelievable lies?" Loving her for so many years was a fact I couldn't deny. I had no way to defend myself. I also felt embarrassed and didn't want to argue this point with her. I took a deep breath and changed the subject. You chased me out here just to talk this nonsense? Give me the rings. Julian likes them. I can trade you something else for them. Hearing this, anger mixed with a stinging pain choked my chest, intensifying rapidly. My eyes felt hot as I stared dead at her. He likes them, so I have to give them up? Why? I don't want anything of yours. You can't afford to trade for these rings. Can you let go of me, Ms. Vaughn? She stared at my red eyes and fell into silence. Finally, she reached her hand toward my face. Just as I was about to block her, a hand grabbed her faster than I could. Vanessa, don't bully him. Jared, are you okay? I told Vanessa not to take things people love, but she insisted on helping me get the rings from you. She upset you. It's getting late, and it's not safe for you to carry such expensive items alone. Let Vanessa drive you back. I immediately took a few steps back from them. I wondered if these two had some sick fetish, insisting on getting in my face to show off their love. But I had no interest in being part of their twisted little game. No need. I have a ride. Luckily, I saw Scarlett's Maserati parked across the street. The rings were for our wedding. My ride is here. I jogged across the street. When Scarlett saw Vanessa standing a few meters away, her eyes grew cold. The car door slammed shut, and she ordered the driver to go. Let me out. Why was she there? Her eyes were like those of an angry, bristling leopard. My phone rang. I chose to answer it immediately. What is it? Who picked you up? I've never seen that license plate. It's not one of yours. I don't think I need to explain myself to you. Jared, even if we aren't married, we're still friends. I'm also the older sister who watched you grow up. You can't get involved with random people just to spite me. It's already late. Scarlett looked at me with aggressive eyes. Hearing Vanessa's voice on the phone, the gloomy aura around her grew heavier. She took my earlobe into her mouth and bit down, hard enough to feel but not break skin. Caught off guard, I let out a low groan. There was a brief, stifled silence on the other end of the phone before a dry, dark voice asked, "What are you doing?" "Ms. Vaughn, you talk too much and you manage too much." Scarlett spoke into the phone with displeasure and hung up. "You said you wouldn't see her again. What did you just do?" "I was angry. I wanted to kiss you. Are you going to dodge me again?" I was silent. Silence means consent. She kissed me forcefully. She looked at me with burning eyes. Her face was calm, but her ears were red as blood. Her lips were glossy from the kiss, beautifully shaped with a distinct Cupid's bow. Because she had used too much force, she had bruised them slightly. "Do you hate it?" she asked tentatively. The space in the car was too small. Looking at her eyes, I felt hot. "No." "Then can I kiss you again?" I reached out and wiped a tiny bead of blood from her lip, teasing her. "No. Your technique sucks. Is Vanessa good? That promiscuous queen, she must be good. It's my first time initiating a kiss with a man. Isn't it normal to be bad at it? Let me practice on you more. I'll definitely get better. Better than her." She looked at me resentfully, arguing unconvinced. This clumsy appearance was actually somewhat cute. If your subordinates saw you like this, you'd lose all your authority. Nobody else gets to see. Only you. You still haven't told me why you met her today. Seeing how serious she was, if I didn't tell her, that frown wouldn't loosen all night. I held up the pair of rings I'd won. "I bought wedding rings for us. Do you like them?" Her hands shook with excitement. She hadn't even opened the box before saying she liked them. Loved them. After opening it, she immediately put one on, looking at it again and again, the love in her eyes overflowing. So this is what it looks like when someone truly, passionately likes something. I once hand-picked a watch for Vanessa with even more care than this. I went to Switzerland personally to serve as an assistant to a master watchmaker for over 6 months, just to get him to help me design it. I added the tulip pattern Vanessa gave me the first time on the dial and made it by hand. My hand was scarred by a tool during the process. It cut deep to the bone. Even now, there's a faint pink scar. But when I gave it to Vanessa, she just thanked me plainly. Later, she said she lost the watch. Actually, it was because Julian was unhappy she was wearing something I gave her, so she threw it into the ocean. She never cared about me. It was always just settling. The wedding date was set. Scarlett took me to meet her friends and hand out invitations. When we finished, it was very late. Her villa was near the bar, so she took me back there. She gave me the master bedroom and had the maid prepare the guest room next door for herself. The next day, there were urgent company matters. She said it was a critical moment in the Lynch family power struggle. Otherwise, she would want to stay with me. I joked, then the eldest Miss Lynch better succeed, or I'm very snobbish. I might call off the wedding. I definitely won't let my future husband suffer. Before leaving, she kissed me again. I laughed. Stop messing around, go do your work. The driver took me back. As soon as I got out of the car, I saw a very familiar figure at the gate of my new villa. It was the person I used to be able to spot instantly in a crowd of thousands. Vanessa. When she turned around at the sound of the car, I saw she was still wearing yesterday's dress. There was a pile of cigarette butts at her feet. She looked haggard, her eyes bloodshot, with faint purple shadows underneath. It looked like she had waited all night. Seeing it was me, she strode over, grabbed my wrist, and questioned me with eyes full of accusation. "Where were you last night?" I replied coldly, "I don't think I have an obligation to report my whereabouts to my ex-wife." She reached out to touch the corner of my mouth, her eyes becoming increasingly dark. I hissed in pain and slapped her hand away. "We aren't in a relationship where you can do intimate things like that. Stay away from me." "How did you get hooked up with Scarlett Lynch?" I checked that license plate. The Scarlett's car. "Was the accident with Julian before related to you? Did you trade your body for her help? Is that it?" With every question, her tone dropped lower. By the last sentence, she sounded ruthless, like she wanted to crush every word between her teeth. I wondered why she never paid attention to my whereabouts before the divorce. Yet now she waited downstairs all night without even showering or changing. Turns out she was just impatient to interrogate me for Julian's sake. I slapped her hard. "No, don't question me like you have the right." She licked the cut on the corner of her mouth, her gaze toward me turning colder. "Ideally, it has nothing to do with you. I won't let anyone hurt Julian. But I also watched you grow up. Don't get too close to Scarlett Lynch. She's not a good person. She'll do anything. You talk too much. You think Julian stole me, and Scarlett has a fleeting interest in you, so you want to be with her to get revenge on Julian? And on me?" Vanessa really was confident. She insisted on linking everything I did to her or Julian. I didn't even want to maintain surface-level politeness anymore. My words were sharp. "The earth doesn't revolve around you two. We're divorced. From that day on, my life has nothing to do with you two pieces of trash. Stop putting gold on your face in front of me. Okay?" Vanessa had never been treated like this by me. In the past, was I ever not gentle, asking after her well-being? She couldn't handle the loss of face, her expression darker than ink. "Look out for yourself. Don't play yourself into a corner. Even if there's really something between you and Scarlett, you say you're marrying someone else. Even if it's true, I won't care." She emphasized the last sentence heavily, as if to reinforce her own certainty. Refusing to listen to any more of her nonsense, I went inside and told security to remember her face and never let strangers in again. The news that both Vanessa and I were remarrying spread quickly through the Beijing social circle. Many people sighed. They thought childhood sweethearts would have a happy ending. Unexpectedly, we couldn't escape the cliché fate where the childhood friend loses to the new arrival. I don't know what kind of cursed fate it was, but we even scheduled our weddings for the same day. When Vanessa's best friends saw Jared's wedding invitation, they were throwing her a bachelorette party. Seeing her staring blankly at the invitation, her expression confused. "Nessa, what do you think about your ex-husband remarrying? Did the Stone family send you an invite? You probably won't have time that day anyway. You were so cold to him that year. You skipped anniversaries, forgot his birthday. Even on your own birthday, after he prepared everything, you'd make excuses to drink with us instead of going home. The cruelest time was when he got into a car accident. You just told him over the phone that you weren't a doctor and couldn't treat his wounds. You didn't even go see him. Jared tolerated all of that and refused to divorce. We all thought Jared would never divorce you in this lifetime. Vanessa downed a shot of vodka. She felt she should say she didn't care. But the discomfort in her chest had been there since she heard that ambiguous groan over the phone. Over these past few days, it had intensified. This wedding invitation was like pouring oil on a fire. The suppressed sparks turned into a raging inferno, burning her all over. The person who cared about her so much was really going to marry another woman. She dazedly recalled many moments about Jared. He had been handsome and dazzling since childhood. But those clear peach blossom eyes always stole glances at her. When caught, he would lower his head like a startled deer. Seeing her receive love letters, he would sulk secretly and ignore her. A few days later, he would beat around the bush asking what kind of guys she liked. He would steal kisses when she fell asleep while helping him study. When he saw her mother's antique watch shatter, he ran all over the city just to find a replacement movement, then pretended it was a coincidence that he found someone selling it online. Once she casually mentioned a limited edition Lego set that was hard to buy even at a high price. Jared delivered it to her as a birthday gift, claiming a friend needed money and sold it to him. He thought he hid it well, but she knew. He had queued up personally, staying up all night, his dark circles heavier than usual. He did so much, yet hesitated to say I love you. Later, the Stone family intended for him to marry someone else. Upon hearing the news, she didn't hesitate. She bought a plain ring, went to the Stone house, and asked him if he'd be interested in merging with her instead of a stranger. His eyes lit up as if filled with moonlight. He took the ring and said yes. When they got married, he said he would be with her forever and would never like anyone else. Liar. Who's a liar? Jared. He said he would never like anyone else. Her friends around her couldn't help but roast her. Nessa, look, we can be scumbags, but let's not be shameless. You're divorced. Was he supposed to stay celibate for you forever? Wanting your cake and eating it too isn't a good look. Don't tell me you regret it. You were willing to die for Julian. What's with the drowning your sorrows now, right? She loved Julian, didn't she? When she first saw Julian, he felt like the opposite of Jared. Flamboyant, confident, a humble background, but it didn't stop him from fearlessly helping others. When faced with injustice, he would explode and expose it directly. A small-time reporter, not afraid even when half buried in dirt by thugs. She was attracted to that unyielding personality, feeling it was something she hadn't seen in her life before. For the first time, she had the thought of chasing someone. Julian would meet her, but return all her gifts. He said there would be no possibility between them unless she divorced. She brought up divorce to Jared. The man who was always gentle smashed everything fragile in the house. He looked at her with a ferocious expression, saying divorce was out of the question. What was her mindset back then? Amidst the annoyance, there was a strange thrill. She felt he really loved her. As she asked more often, Jared started demanding reasons. She was afraid the Stone family would take it out on Julian, so she deliberately hid him. In those moments, she was always silent. She wanted to freeze him out. Eventually, he would let go. With such cold interaction, their relationship grew stiffer. She thought she would really be stuck with him for life. But the moment Jared found out about Julian, he agreed to the divorce easily. Before, she had brought it up so many times, and he refused every time, getting incredibly angry. Why agree so easily now? On the day of the divorce, she didn't feel the relief she expected. The day after tomorrow, she was marrying Julian. She got what she wanted. She should be happy. It must just be possessiveness at work. After all, Jared was her former husband. She was also worried for him. Scarlett Lynch was no simple character. The fight for the Lynch family fortune was causing a huge uproar recently. Jared would realize this wasn't a good choice. She downed a whole bottle of vodka, stood up unsteadily, and walked out. Nessa, where are you going? Home. You're drunk. Call someone to pick you up, right? Call someone. She dialed a number. The number you have dialed is busy. She dialed again and again, refusing to give up, until someone next to her said, "You've been blocked." Looking at the name Jared on the screen, she clutched her chest, slowly crouched down, and mumbled, I really drank too much. I called the wrong number. When I saw Vanessa and Julian at the wedding venue, I could only sigh at what kind of cursed karma existed between us. It was bad enough we chose the same day to remarry. We even chose the same hotel for the reception. Who asked this place to be the most prestigious wedding venue in the city? Vanessa wore a pristine white wedding dress, but her expression was cold. It didn't look like the face of someone marrying the person they wanted most. Across the sea of people, our gazes locked. Looking at me, her eyes suddenly darkened, and the hidden emotions spilled out. I saw pain. Honey, you're looking at that heartless woman. Do you want me to grab a gun and paint the walls red? Scarlett's unhappy voice rang in my ear, and she secretly pinched my waist. I pushed her hand away. Stop messing around. I was just surprised. Too many people are watching you lately. Keep a low profile for me. I'll listen to you. Stop looking at her. Am I not prettier than her? Scarlett was radiating joy because of the wedding, which diluted her usual murderous aura. Her feminine features needed little decoration to be incredibly beautiful. That's enough. What happened between you and Julian at the hotel back then? I glanced at Julian. He had chosen a burgundy velvet suit and was smiling smugly. But when he saw me also in a suit, standing next to a woman, his joy receded significantly. Scarlett's eyes were tinged with happiness. I thought you'd never ask or didn't care. Originally, I didn't ask because I truly didn't care. Seeing Julian today, I didn't think about Vanessa. Instead, I remembered Scarlett's history with Julian. They went to get a room and he ended up getting his head smashed. Thinking about that, I was a little annoyed. Misunderstandings need to be cleared up, or they become ticking time bombs. First, it wasn't for you. It was a sting operation. That guy approached me, so I pretended to take the bait. I chatted him up to collect evidence of him two-timing, wanting to warn your brain-dead ex-wife to behave and not divorce you. Who knew he'd dare to drug me? He helped me into the hotel, but I was still lucid. I had some guys ready to satisfy him and record it. But when he saw Vanessa burst in, he suddenly went crazy and hit me with an ashtray. I sent people to chase him. You know the rest. So, Vanessa was just another fish in Julian's pond. She took a bullet for him. While others get scammed willingly, don't you think you're giving them too much attention? The wedding is about to start. Aren't you nervous? It's my second marriage. I know the drill. It's my first. I'm nervous. Honey, kiss me and I won't be nervous. Scarlett interlaced her fingers with mine. Her palms were damp. She really was nervous. I cupped her face and kissed her. Better? Vanessa, why is your hand bleeding? Go get it bandaged quickly. It's bad luck to bleed on an occasion like this. I heard Julian's nervous voice across the hall. I didn't look over. While Julian and I were waiting for the MC, he suddenly spoke. You just can't let go of Vanessa? Can you? Choosing the same venue, do you think you can make her care about you again? Are you a dog? Barking the moment you see someone. Scarlett liked me too. She wanted me. That's why I broke her head. He was rather proud of it. No, you drugged her and tried to crawl into her bed. As soon as I said that, his face changed drastically. You, don't talk nonsense. I didn't. Are you trying to tell Vanessa? She loves me so much. She won't listen to you. She saw me break Scarlett's head with her own eyes. You two getting married. Good. Don't ruin anyone else's life. The MC called my name. Just as I was about to enter, a group of men in black swarmed in. Without a word, they grabbed both me and Julian and dragged us out. We were thrown into a black van, hands bound tight. They were dressed in black, wearing masks and hats. Julian was terrified, his voice choking as he screamed and questioned them. Don't take me. I didn't expose the violations at Yonghai Construction. Who are you? Do you want money? Someone slapped him hard twice. Shut the FCK up. Then a phone call was made. Boss, there were 2 grooms at the venue. We didn't know which one was Scarlett Lynch's man, so we grabbed both. Idiots. You couldn't check first? I'll check now and release one. Use your brain. Going back now means getting caught. Take both. Anyone holding a reception at that hotel is rich. Ask for more. He's the one Scarlett is marrying. Big brother. Let me go. I promise I won't say anything. Julian started screaming again. A rag was stuffed into his mouth, leaving him only able to whimper and shake his head. I was much quieter. I had a tracker on me that Scarlett gave me. She said the family situation was unstable lately, and someone might use me to threaten her. She needed to know my location to ensure my safety. Usually, bodyguards followed me. Today, because of the wedding, there were too many people allowing these guys to slip in. Talking less meant suffering less. We were thrown into an abandoned factory. No light, no food. The way those men looked at us was terrifying. I dug my nails into my palm to stay calm. If you touch us, getting what you want from Scarlett becomes impossible. Only then did they rein in their predatory gazes. They wanted 20% of the Lynch family shares held by Scarlett. Send the file, sign it, and have someone deliver it. Then they would send me back safely. Let me hear his voice. I'm fine, but I keep hearing water here. I nearly drowned once. I'm terrified of water. Sign it and ransom me quickly. Don't be scared. Don't touch him. If you hurt him, you get nothing but a death sentence. The call ended. Just as the file was transferred, a gunshot rang out. A bullet flew through the window, blowing apart the head of the man in front of me. Several shots followed, and men dropped to the ground. Two figures rushed in through the door, one in black, one in white. Their eyes locked onto me instantly. Seeing I was okay, only frowning at the blood spatter, they both breathed a sigh of relief. Just when we thought it was over, someone jumped down from the rafters. He held a knife to both my neck and Julian's. Underestimated you. Don't move. Let them go and we can talk. The man holding the knife probably felt he had no way out. Let's play a game. These two men are the ones you're marrying, right? If you can both say one name simultaneously, I'll let him go. If you can't agree, I'll remove a part from their bodies, starting with the ears. Is this game fun? I felt the knife tip cold and biting. One wrong move and he could slit my throat. Say one person simultaneously. That was impossible. Scarlett wouldn't give me up, and Vanessa wouldn't choose me. Julian was whimpering, begging for help. The two women opposite us fell silent. If you don't want to play, then die with them. The blade cut my skin. I hissed in pain. Play. We'll play. The kidnapper counted down. 3, 2, 1. Both of their hands pointed at me. I looked at Vanessa in shock. Beside me, Julian was sobbing, constantly yelling not to cut his ear. So this man is more important to both of you. Then I'll take his ear first. The moment he raised the knife, the two women charged in tacit agreement. Scarlett caught the blade with her bare hands, while Vanessa grabbed his other arm. They both kicked him down simultaneously. Scarlett pinned the man to the ground. The others rushed in from the door to secure the scene. I gripped Scarlett's hand tightly. Go to the hospital. Hurry. We were all taken to the hospital. Scarlett's hand was cut deep. She needed stitches. She insisted on having my neck checked first. Confirming it was just a scratch, she finally agreed to get stitched up. Julian had passed out from fright. Vanessa looked at me silently. The gauze on her hand was soaked in blood, but she showed no intention of treating it. Her wedding dress was dirty beyond recognition. Her face was pale, the corners of her eyes red. She looked at me with sorrow and said, Jared, can you not marry her? She's not right for you. If it weren't for her family's issues, you wouldn't have been taken today. But she risked her life to save me. She's hurt badly. If her hand doesn't heal right, it could be ruined. I've never been cherished like that before. With Vanessa, I was always the one looking up at her. I glanced toward Julian's ward. Besides, didn't you say you'd give your life for him? The one you love should be him. Her hands were trembling. She wiped her face fiercely, trying to look less pathetic. I could give my life for him. But when you and he were in the same danger, you were more important. Can you not marry her? Give me another chance. I only realized just now that what I felt for you all these years was love. I thought I didn't love you. I thought we married because it was suitable. But it wasn't. I love you. I just didn't understand what love was. She looked as lost as a child who made a mistake, wanting to explain but having no good excuse. In the past, if she frowned even slightly, I would do anything to make her happy. If she was hurt, my heart would have jumped out of my chest. But now, seeing her this wretched, I felt nothing. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Everything before was a coincidence. Let's really not see each other again. You saved me today, so the past is truly written off. Let's just live our own lives. I have to go see Scarlett. She's hurt badly. Regarding the past, I forgive it all. But we have no future. Vanessa watched Jared's resolute back as he walked away. The wound on her hand began to hurt more intensely. Scarlett's hand was hurt, but hers was too. It hurt so much that her heart trembled with the pain. It was a piercing agony she had never experienced before. She tilted her head back and gasped for air. Why hadn't she realized sooner? It wasn't settling, it wasn't lack of love. Love had silently integrated into every single day. Julian was just a momentary freshness in a life as plain as water. He said, written off. No love, no hate. How cruel. She canceled the wedding banquet with Julian. Julian screamed and fought with her, demanded a sum of money, and left. She felt it was laughable. For such a hypocritical, money-loving man. She gave up the person who would have loved her for a lifetime. But there is no medicine for regret in this world. She could only watch, day after day, as the happiness that belonged to her became Scarlett's.